Morning, everyone. This week's Torah portion we learn about Joseph, the only biblical figure who's called the righteous one, Yosef HaTzadik, the one who overcame so many trials and tribulations after his brothers threw in a pit, he was sold into slavery, and then ultimately rose to become the viceroy of Egypt and forgave his brothers. But in this week's parsha, after he's sold into slavery by his brothers, he is purchased by a fellow by the name of Potiphar, who is a minister in Pharaoh's cabinet, and he becomes a servant in the house of Potiphar. And the verse tells us there that his master saw that he was a ish matzliach, he was a successful man, and that God was with him. And the question is, why does the verse have to say that his master saw that he was both successful and God was with him? Usually, if someone is successful, it means God is with them. And if God is with someone, it means they're successful. Why does the Torah say both he was successful and God was with him? I'd like to offer two answers. The first answer is that perhaps the Torah is teaching us a very important lesson. We assume that successful people, God is with them. Oh, look, he's so successful, God must be with him. But if someone fails in life, someone faces disappointments and challenges, God is not with them. That's completely false. God is with every single person. And faith in God means that even when I'm going through a challenge, a disappointment, a struggle, a hardship, I should never forget that God is with me. There's a reason, there's a purpose, there's a meaning to everything that happens in life. Maybe I don't see it now, maybe I'll see it sometime in the future. And realize that God is with you throughout all of your experiences, whether the joyous, happy ones or the sad and disappointing ones. You know, if I asked you, look back at your life and think of three incidences, three experiences that you would like to delete. If you could just delete those three negative experiences from your life, what would they be? And at first you would say, sure, there are many experiences maybe in my past that I would like to undo or delete from my past history browser. But then when you look at it a second time, you may very well say, you know what? They were trying times, they were difficult challenges, but I would never delete it from my experiences because I've gained so much through it, I've grown through it. Sometimes we go through challenges, we don't appreciate it at the time, but later we look back in hindsight and say, look what I've gained from that experience. And so therefore it says that he was successful and God was with him, because it's not a given that just because someone's not successful, God is not with them. On the contrary, God is always with us. You know, I called a member of our synagogue last week who I heard was going through some illness and pain, and I said to him, I'm sorry to hear that you're in pain. And he said to me, remarkably, he says, I'm in exactly as much pain as God wants me to be in. Not any more and not any less. That's trust and faith in God, that God is with me at all times. But a second interpretation is that the verse is teaching us that sometimes in life, when people become successful, they forget about God. And it's only when there's troubles or trials or tribulations that they come turning to God for help. Unfortunately, in the synagogue, there's sometimes people who, when things are going well, they don't come to the synagogue to pray, to thank God, to show gratitude and appreciation. If God forbid someone's ill, or someone died, or something bad happened, then they come to say Kaddish or to say a Misha Berach. And so the Torah says, remember that Joseph teaches us that not only when things aren't good, but even more so, when you're successful, that's when God needs to be with you. That's when you should surely thank God and be grateful that everything is good. The story about this fellow who was in this terrible car accident with an 18-wheeler tractor trailer, and his car was totally totaled. And miraculously, he walked out without a scratch. He was so grateful. He came running to the synagogue. He said, Rabbi, this week I want to give a big kiddush to thank God for my miraculous salvation. And he gave this beautiful, lavish kiddush in deep gratitude that he was alive. Next week, someone else comes to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, I was so inspired by this fellow last week. I want to give a big kiddush this week. And the rabbi said, why? Were you in a car accident with a tractor trailer? He says, no, I want to give a kiddush. Thank God I was not in a car accident with a tractor trailer. Sometimes we thank God when we go through adversity and we come through it. But really is when things are going well, not just when things are not going well. That's when we should be most grateful each and every day. And Joseph teaches us never forget God. Joseph remembered God in his trials and tribulations, but also when he rose to power and success as Viceroy of Egypt, he always remained humble and remembered God in his life. Have a wonderful day.